The sun poured lazily through the blinds of my room, casting golden streaks across my cluttered desk. My life had been a routine of quiet evenings and solitary video games, punctuated by awkward encounters at school. My name is Alex, 19, a college student majoring in graphic design, and I had always been different. Not in a dramatic way, but in the subtle ways that made me notice the world's color and texture, that made me appreciate small things others overlooked. One of those differences had always been a quiet fascination with fashion, makeup, and the way a person could completely reinvent themselves in front of a mirror. It wasn't something I could easily talk about, least of all to my friends or to Lily. Lily. That was where the real tension began. She was my crush, my best friend since childhood, bright, bubbly, with a mischievous smile that could light up the whole room. The kind of girl who made me both nervous and excited, who somehow made me feel seen without even trying. But she had no idea about my secret side. The side that sometimes dreamt of stepping into her shoes, literally and figuratively, to feel what it was like to be someone else, even if just for a little while. College life was normally predictable. Classes, a few friends, late-night snack runs. But that afternoon, everything shifted. I had stopped by her dorm to return a book she'd lent me when she raised an eyebrow, her playful smirk dancing on her lips. "I dare you," she said suddenly, leaning on the doorframe, "to dress up like me. Just for fun. Just for an hour. No tricks, no excuses." I froze. My heart thudded in my chest, half from excitement, half from panic. Dress like Lily? The idea should have been absurd, but there was something intoxicating about it. I could feel the familiar stirrings of curiosity and thrill rising inside me. My palms sweated, and I glanced around nervously, imagining my usual quiet self transformed into the reflection of Lily, her hairstyle, her clothes, her confidence. I opened my mouth, but words faltered. She leaned closer, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "Come on, Alex. I want to see if you can pull it off. No backing out." The room seemed to shrink around me. Every fiber of my being screamed caution, yet the allure of the challenge was impossible to ignore. I swallowed hard and nodded slowly, almost against my better judgment. "Okay," I whispered, voice unsteady. "I'll do it." Her grin widened. "Perfect. I'll help you." The next hour became a whirlwind of fabrics, accessories, and whispered instructions. Lily rummaged through her closet, pulling out dresses, skirts, and tops with a precision that left me dizzy. She laughed as she adjusted my posture, corrected the tilt of my head, and finally placed a wig over my hair. It felt alien at first, the silky strands brushing my cheeks, but also electrifying. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and barely recognized the reflection. There was Alex, yes, but also someone new. Someone daring, playful, and alive in a way I had never experienced before. As she applied a few finishing touches of makeup, subtle but transformative, my nerves tangled with excitement. The transformation wasn't just skin deep. I could feel myself slipping into a different persona, adopting gestures and expressions that were almost hers, but also uniquely mine. My reflection smiled back, teasing me with possibilities I had never dared to consider. "Wow," Lily whispered, eyes sparkling. "You look just like me. Honestly, you could be my twin." My stomach fluttered, a mix of embarrassment and pride. I laughed nervously, tugging at the hem of the skirt, suddenly hyper-aware of every sensation, the brush of fabric against my legs, the weight of the wig, the unfamiliar confidence that trickled through me like a secret river. And just like that, a simple dare had opened a door I hadn't known I wanted to explore. I wasn't sure where this path would lead, or how far I'd let it take me. But for the first time in a long while, I felt something like freedom. That evening, as Lily left for her classes, she threw a wink over her shoulder. "Remember, no one else can know. Not yet. But I can't wait to see what you do with this." I closed the door behind her and stared at the mirror. The room was quiet, but my mind was alive with possibilities, fears, and the strange thrill of anticipation. Could I keep this secret? Could I explore this side of myself without anyone discovering it too soon? And, most importantly, what would happen if Lily saw me again like this? The reflection smiled, and I realized I didn't care about ordinary anymore. Something new had begun. Something daring, thrilling, and entirely my own. The next few days were a blur of anticipation and quiet obsession. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the reflection Lily had teased me with, the soft wig framing my face, the curve of her skirts, the shimmer of her lipstick. At first, I tried to brush it off as a silly dare, something fun and fleeting. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized the thrill wasn't just about looking like her. It was about slipping into a version of myself that felt daring, alive, and dangerously intoxicating. I had always been careful with my secret. My fascination with fashion, makeup, and femininity had remained locked in my room, hidden from everyone. My family would have laughed, my friends would have teased me endlessly, and even Lily, my crush, probably wouldn't have understood. Yet now, with her challenge, I had permission. A door had opened, and I couldn't resist stepping through. That Friday, when I was finally alone at my apartment, the plan took shape. I had memorized every item of Lily's outfit from that day: the soft, pastel blouse, the flared skirt, the delicate heels. I laid them out on my bed, heart pounding. My hands shook as I ran over the textures, imagining how each would feel against my skin. Then came the wig. I picked it up like it was something sacred, brushing through the silky strands, feeling the thrill of anticipation ripple through me. I placed it carefully over my head and caught my reflection. My breath caught. There I was, Alex, but also not Alex, someone entirely different, someone who dared to be seen in a new light. The first step was always the hardest: the clothes. I slipped into the blouse, shivering at the sensation of fabric hugging my shoulders. Then the skirt, swishing against my legs, making every movement feel deliberate and feminine. My reflection in the mirror looked strange at first, awkward in its borrowed grace. But as I adjusted my posture, the way Lily had taught me, something clicked. I was no longer just trying on clothes. I was stepping into a persona, a role that made me feel confident, vulnerable, and alive all at once. Makeup came next. I had experimented in private before, but Lily's guidance had taught me precision. Concealer to smooth out my uneven skin tone, a touch of blush to mimic that natural glow, eyeliner and mascara to open my eyes, and a hint of lipstick that made my lips look soft and inviting. Each stroke was like a ritual, each application a tiny act of transformation. By the time I looked at the mirror again, the reflection staring back at me was startling. It wasn't just a costume. It was me, elevated and reshaped, someone capable of capturing attention in ways I had never imagined. But with a thrill came fear. Every creak of the apartment, every sound from the hallway made me tense. What if Lily returned early? What if a neighbor passed by the window? My mind raced with possibilities of discovery, the shame of being caught mingling with the exhilaration of being unseen and daring. I walked slowly across the room in heels, feeling the unfamiliar sway, balancing excitement and caution. Each step was a reminder. This world I was stepping into was fragile, and exposure could shatter it. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. I experimented with poses, gestures, even my voice, practicing the soft inflections that Lily had teased out of me. I laughed quietly at myself at times, the nervous energy bubbling into small bursts of joy. And yet, there was tension beneath it all, a thin line of anxiety that reminded me how precarious this experiment was. I was alone, technically safe, but the danger felt deliciously real. By evening, my transformation was complete. I twirled in front of the mirror, letting the skirt flare and the wig bounce, feeling a mix of pride and vulnerability. I was Alex, yes, but also her twin, a living echo of Lily's energy, someone new and mesmerizing. My phone buzzed with a message from her, playful and teasing. "Hope you're enjoying the challenge," smirking face. My pulse quickened. Every text from her now felt like a spark, a reminder that she had seen me this way, had set this chain in motion, and that nothing would ever be quite the same. I typed back quickly, trying to sound casual but failing. My fingers trembled. That night, I stayed in my transformed state longer than I expected. I walked through my apartment, testing how it felt to move and exist in this persona. The clothes, the wig, the makeup, they weren't just adornments. They were shields. They were windows into a world I had never dared explore. And as I looked at myself one last time in the mirror, a small, shy smile creeping across my face, I realized I wanted more. I wanted to see how far I could take this, how convincing I could be, and how it might change not just how others saw me, but how I saw myself. But suspense lingered, always. With every thrill came the shadow of discovery. Would Lily see me again like this? Would she laugh or admire me? And most dangerously of all, would I get carried away and step into a version of myself that I couldn't return from? The night stretched on, quiet except for my own thoughts. I felt both liberated and trapped in this duality. The thrill of transformation, the fear of exposure, and the electric promise of discovery blended into a potent mix that kept me on edge. I drifted off to sleep finally, still in the wig, my skirt creased from endless twirls, my reflection still vivid in my mind. Tomorrow would be another test, another chance to explore, and perhaps another brush with discovery. And that was just the beginning. The next morning, I woke with a mixture of excitement and dread. The previous night's transformation had left me with an intoxicating sense of possibility, but now, the real challenge loomed. Lily had suggested we meet later for a little photo fun, and my mind raced with anticipation. I wasn't just dressing up anymore. I was performing, stepping into a world where discovery, admiration, and embarrassment could collide at any moment. I carefully repeated the transformation ritual, choosing the soft pastel blouse she had recommended, the flared skirt that gave me that perfect sway, and the wig, brushed meticulously so every strand fell naturally. Makeup was precise, a subtle glow, eyeliner emphasizing my eyes, blush to mimic the warmth of my own excitement, and the lipstick that made me look softer, more alive. Every detail mattered. One slip, one misplaced movement, could ruin the illusion. As I admired myself in the mirror, I caught the reflection of both Alex and her twin, staring back. The duality was intoxicating. My heartbeat thundered in my chest. This wasn't just crossdressing, this was stepping into another life, even if only temporarily. And I was acutely aware that Lily, even with her teasing smile, held the power to unmask me at any moment. When I stepped out, the air felt electric. Every glance, every passerby seemed amplified. My confidence surged, but so did anxiety. I was walking a tightrope, thrilled by attention, yet terrified someone I knew might see me. Even a familiar neighbor could trigger disaster. The thought made my hands sweat inside the delicate gloves I wore. We met at a small park, secluded, yet not entirely private. Lily's eyes sparkled when she saw me, a mix of surprise and admiration. "Wow, you really went all out," she said, circling me like a photographer inspecting a model. My pulse quickened. I felt both exposed and exhilarated. She snapped photos, guiding me through poses, adjusting the wig, and instructing subtle gestures that made me feel more like the twin she imagined. Each click of her camera amplified the tension. My body reacted in ways I hadn't expected, my heart racing, cheeks flushing, hands trembling slightly. I was performing under scrutiny, yet alone enough that I could explore the persona freely. The thrill was addictive. Suddenly, a voice broke through the secluded calm. "Alex? Is that you?" My heart stopped. From behind the trees, my friend Jordan had appeared, eyes wide in confusion. Panic surged. I hadn't planned for anyone else to see me like this. My instincts screamed to flee, but Lily whispered urgently, "Stay calm. Just be her." I froze, feeling every pulse in my body. Jordan stepped closer, squinting at my outfit, the wig, and the delicate features highlighted by makeup. "Wait, is that you?" he asked, disbelief clear in his voice. My mind raced. Do I admit? Do I explain? Or do I improvise? I forced a calm laugh, voice softer, higher, trembling just slightly. "Yeah, just trying something different," I said. Lily chimed in smoothly. "He's trying a new look for fun." "Isn't it cute?" Her confident framing helped, but Jordan still looked skeptical. The tension was unbearable. One wrong word, one misstep, and the secret would be out. Then came the twist. Jordan's phone buzzed, and he showed a notification with a photo from another friend who had passed by the park earlier. Someone had captured a candid shot of me, fully transformed, and it was already circulating. My stomach dropped. This was no longer a private adventure, it was exposure. Lily grabbed my hand, squeezing it. "Don't panic. We can control this. Just keep posing, keep smiling." But inside, my heart felt like it would burst. The world I had carefully curated, the safe duality of Alex and the twin persona, teetered on the edge of chaos. As we tried to salvage the moment with more photos, I noticed other parkgoers glancing, whispering, and pointing. Each look felt like a judgment, a potential threat. The adrenaline surged. I could feel my legs trembling inside the heels, my hands moist, makeup slightly smudged from the nervous energy. Every step, every movement was loaded with suspense. Then, the symbolic moment struck. A gust of wind lifted the wig at the nape of my neck, revealing a small section of my natural hair. My heart leaped. Lily lunged to press it back, but a few strands had escaped. My reflection in a nearby pond caught my eye. Alex and the twin persona collided visually. Vulnerability and exhilaration merged into a sharp, electric sensation. The duality was exposed, yet beautiful. Jordan, noticing the mishap, whispered, Your weight." Panic flashed across his face. My pulse screamed. The moment of exposure was imminent. Lily's quick thinking saved me. She wrapped an arm around me, whispering a playful excuse about the wind, redirecting attention, and we continued, hands trembling, faces flushed, hearts racing. As we wrapped up, I realized the danger was far from over. Each step back to the car, each glance from strangers, reminded me that my secret was precarious. The thrill of transformation, the exhilaration of recognition, the fear of exposure, it all coalesced into a tension I hadn't known existed. I wanted to cling to this persona, to feel the thrill of being admired, yet the threat of discovery loomed like a shadow. By the time I reached home, I was drained but exhilarated. I caught a final glimpse of myself in the mirror. Messy wig, smudged makeup, but a wide, genuine smile. I had survived the ordeal, but I also knew that the next encounter, the next unexpected observer, could shatter everything. My dual life felt more fragile and more compelling than ever. And then, the final text arrived from Lily. "You are perfect today. Can't wait for our next adventure," smirking face. A shiver ran down my spine. Perfect? Dangerous? Both. I didn't know, but I did know one thing. This thrill had changed me. The twin persona wasn't just a disguise. It was a revelation, a temptation I couldn't resist. And as I lay in bed that night, the reflection of Alex and the twin persona still vivid in my mind, I realized the real suspense wasn't just about being discovered by others, it was about discovering how far I was willing to go, and what I might lose if I crossed that line completely. By the time I returned home, the adrenaline was still pounding through me, each heartbeat a reminder of how close I had come to being exposed. I shut the door behind me, leaning against it for a moment, letting out a shaky breath. The thrill of the day's transformation still lingered, but so did the fear of someone else seeing the twin persona, the fear that my secret could slip out at any moment. I glanced at the mirror in the hallway. My reflection stared back, a perfect blend of Alex and the persona I had embraced under Lily's guidance. My cheeks were flushed, my hair slightly tousled from the wind, but the smile that spread across my face was genuine. I couldn't deny it. The twin persona felt alive, real, and maybe even more me than Alex had ever felt. Then my phone buzzed. It was a notification from social media. My heart skipped a beat. Someone had posted one of the candid photos Lily and I had taken in the park. My stomach dropped. I opened it cautiously, trying to assess the damage. Comments poured in. "Who is she? So cute. Looks just like her twin." Mixed with excitement and admiration was a faint undertone of suspicion. My secret, my dual identity, was slipping into the public eye, and I felt both terrified and oddly exhilarated. A knock at the door startled me. My pulse surged again. Who could it be? Lily? Emma? Or, worse, someone I didn't want seeing me like this? I froze, unsure whether to hide, confront, or ignore it. The knock came again, insistent this time. Swallowing my fear, I cautiously approached the door and peeked through the peephole. My heart nearly stopped. There she was, my crush, smiling mischievously, holding a small package. My mind raced. Had she seen the photos online? Had she come because of the dare, or had someone tipped her off? Before I could react, her voice called softly from outside. "I think it's time for our next adventure. Are you ready?" The words made my head spin. Part of me wanted to lock the door, retreat, and hide in the safety of being just Alex. But another part of me, the part that had felt the thrill, the exhilaration, the strange sense of freedom in being the twin, longed to open the door, to step further into this world that blurred the lines between fear and desire. I hesitated, hand trembling on the doorknob. One twist, one push, and I would cross the threshold again, fully embracing the persona that had captivated both Lily and my crush. But what would it mean for Alex? For my life? For the carefully guarded secret I had been protecting for so long? The door creaked slightly under my grip. Outside, her smile widened, as if she knew exactly what I was thinking. The suspense was unbearable. I could feel the duality inside me, the safe, cautious Alex, and the daring, liberated twin, battling for control. And then my phone buzzed again. Another notification, another photo of me, this time with even more people commenting. Some were admiring, some questioning, some teasing. My pulse raced. The world I had tried to contain in secrecy was expanding beyond my control. I glanced back at the mirror one last time. The reflection of both Alex and the twin stared at me, equally demanding attention. The twin's eyes seemed to plead. Step forward. Take the dare. Live it fully. Alex's eyes warned. Stop. Be careful. Don't get caught. The knock came again, more impatient this time. My hand hovered over the doorknob. A shiver ran down my spine. I could stay inside, hide, and retreat to safety. Or I could open the door and step into a world that promised both danger and excitement. I exhaled slowly, feeling my heartbeat echo in my ears. The next move would define everything, my secret, my identity, and the exhilarating, terrifying new persona I had begun to explore. And just as my fingers brushed the doorknob, ready to make the choice, the screen of my phone lit up with a final, unexpected message. Are you ready to truly become her? My eyes widened. My heart skipped a beat. My reflection in the mirror seemed to lean forward, almost daring me to answer. The door remained closed. The decision hung in the air, unresolved, electric with possibility. And with that, the story paused.